Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht, part of the Athletic Podcast Network. This is a big day, McKelly. We're like 3 days away from the NBA draft. Holy smokes! McKelly, wow. How's it going?
Well, it's going great. I have crazy days, but at least I was able to take Thursday and Friday off. So I can do whatever.
Perfect.
I mean, yes, I'll be watching live probably until I can stay awake. I don't know, depending on the activities that I'll be involved in. But you know, it's that week. I mean, and it's extremely important for OKC this year. So
it is. Yeah, they've got a hit on one of these picks in one way or another. It feels like there will be a trade of some kind with the Thunder on or before Thursday. I would guess it will include consolidating draft picks, whether that be as little as 34 and 36 to move up to like 28 or 29 or whatever it is there, or 16 and 18. And then there is still the glimmer of hope that they can trade 6 and additional assets and trade up into the top 4. So there's a little bit of that scuttle going on today. You go to SI.com. Jeremy Wu did his recent mock draft. He has the Thunder, big surprise, selecting James Bouknight at 6, who is, it feels like if they stay at 6, that the information that is floating out there point to James Bouknight being the guy. Now, that we have that information, we have it for a reason. Is the reason that it is that they do in fact like him? Maybe. Is the information out there because they know the Warriors like him and that they will trade? They know that the Warriors would like to trade an additional asset and the Thunder could still get Kuminga. I don't know. There's some draft interviews today still, and I was on them on Friday. I've been working pretty much all day. I have not had a chance to hop on any of the Zoom calls that have happened today. Apparently Keon Johnson talked about how his interview went very well and his workout went very well in OKC. I don't know if that means anything or not, because I don't know of any guy that's hopped on a call and been like, man, my workout
really screwed up
with the Celtics was horrible. I was terrible.
Yeah, and speaking of Keon, like for the listeners that are subscribers to OKC Dream Team, I mean, we were pretty critical of him as a top and lottery
early
pick.
on. We were,
and I think it's still relevant to us, but it's a completely different idea of drafting a guy like that with 16 or 18. I think that it is a gamble there, and it's a gamble that maybe I wouldn't do if other talents are there. But it's still interesting. I mean, this draft is kind of, we said it many times, flat after 6, 7, 8, probably even after 5, and there is some truth to that. And so guys like Jalen Johnson or guys like Moses Moody have a pretty wide range of outcomes. And Bouknight, well, if I have to choose today between Bouknight and Kuminga, I would probably draft Bouknight, because there are still some things that I don't trust in Kuminga, and I watched very little. It's probably the prospect that I don't know. I have no idea about him. I have a lot of thoughts in my mind. It's still
Kuminga,
unclear.
you mean?
Yes, about Kuminga. It's really tricky to me to evaluate him based on the G League. To me, it's I don't see him as a.
I was just going to say the thing about Kuminga is that the Thunder have a general manager who probably knows him better than any other GM in the league, because he was in the G League bubble the whole time. I'm sure the intel that he has on him is probably good or better than anybody else's.
Yeah.
What that intel says, what he thought of him in the bubble, I don't know. I don't have any idea. Would I be surprised to see them take Kuminga? I would not be surprised to see them take Kuminga. I think that if Kuminga works in the NBA, he works in a situation like the Thunder, like the Raptors. I've been saying this for what feels like forever now. And I think that it's the right situation for him. And he has a higher upside than Bouknight because of his physical nature. He's huge. He's a big wing, and he's skilled, and he's got he has the whole package there. Now, can he put it all together? And he has yet to put it all together, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, and the fact that basically his development kind of stopped after a very successful high school career and a couple of games in the G League where like everyone was, wow, this is the guy. Is he the guy? Is he number one? And then he plateaued, and then he dove deep into, well, he's a top 5 pick. I mean, up until I would say early March or whatever, this was a 5 guys draft, like 5 players draft. And now we're saying that is 4 or maybe 3 plus Suggs plus Barnes, and maybe Kuminga is more near to Moody and Bouknight. So it's all going very fast. And again, Bouknight to me he played well in the 15 games, but it's not that he has no red flags. I mean, he doesn't pass the ball at all. So or pass it very. I don't know. It's interesting. It's really interesting how OKC will approach this draft pick. With probably the best outcome is being able to move up, because that is not a foregone conclusion that they will not be able to do that. I mean, to me, it's still very much in place. I mean, if you look at the previous drafts, like 2-3 picks, like 2 extra first-round picks can allow you to move up. And OKC can put in 4 without even blink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very interesting. No one has really been offered what OKC has the ability to offer. And I would argue that perhaps this isn't the draft to do this with, because are the guys at the top very good? Yes, absolutely. I think these are very good players. Are they going to necessarily change everything about your franchise? Like, are these guys worth 5 picks? I think the answer is probably no. And I think that now we want them to do that. But I would just, as a Thunder observer and a fan and somebody that wants the best for this team, I would, if they stay pat at 6 and maybe they trade 16, 18 for 12 or whatever it is, and that's what they do, like, don't be discouraged, because I think one of the times to make a play like this will be next year, will be in the 22 draft. And I think that the Thunder will, it will, to me, it's going to happen either Thursday or it's going to happen next year, where they're just going to push so much to the center of the table and say, we want the next star next to this guy. And maybe they like Bouknight enough. I did a mock draft with some guys from The Athletic. One of the guys said he thinks that Bouknight's the 3rd best player in this draft.
Yeah. The shot creation is real, and he's
maybe the Thunder have the same opinion, and they think if we get the 3rd pick, we'd want to take Bouknight anyways. We just don't. It's so hard to judge everything without knowing what the Thunder really think of any of these guys, because they may have some of these guys way down the board. Woj talked about the Thunder really liking Cade and Mobley, which makes sense. And if the Thunder were able to get the 3rd pick and get Mobley, I'd be very supportive of that. I think that would be an excellent move. But we also just don't know what their evaluations are of a guy like Bouknight. Do they have Bouknight ahead of Suggs? I think that's nuts. But it's certainly possible that he is. And we just have to understand that while we have the mock drafts, and we're going to go through these mock drafts here in a minute, of all of these very, very intelligent guys that cover the draft. That's all they do. That's what their life is covering the draft,
Mm-hmm.
talking to people, putting these together, talking with teams about their intel. Like, that's what they do. But the Thunder are just different. There are organizations that spew everything out. Like, the Warriors are notorious for this. The Warriors spew everything out, everything they're thinking, what they want to do, how they want to do it, and they still do it anyways, kind of thing. We just don't know. We just don't know how the Thunder feel. They may think that Jonathan Kuminga is the guy. They may think that Evan Mobley and Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs are the guys, and they want to get in the top 4. I think that we'll find out on Thursday what they think, because I do think that they have the ability to overwhelm somebody if they believe that somebody is the guy. And I've said this many times, and it may sound like a broken record, but the reason that you acquire all these picks is to get what you want. And I believe at the end of the day, Sam Presti will do whatever he can to get what he wants. Now, if what he wants is Cade Cunningham, he might not be able to get it. But outside of that, I think that he has the ability to go get what he wants.
Yeah, and on that topic, I think that there is something relevant to say, and that correlates with what we were saying before about this is not a draft in which you need necessarily to move up. I think that in some drafts, like if in 2 years you want to get Wembanyama, I'm not sure you can get a guy like that, or maybe you can. I mean, like Doncic was had. So, I mean, you can probably think about that. But Zion in a draft where you have a Zion, there is no way you draft to the number 1. And Cade is not at that level, and nor are Mobley and Suggs or Jalen Green. So I think that in a draft like that, there is a real possibility if you really want a guy to get that guy, because it's no mystery. Cade is, for many observer, in a tier of his own, the tier of superstars, and the others are not in the same tier. And usually the guys that are not in number 1 tier, you have a way to get them. I mean, there was probably a way to get LaMelo Ball last year. Probably the price was steep and no one really decided to move up. But to me, this year, there is a real chance to do that, especially if the draft order goes in OKC's direction. I mean, no one knows what Houston will do. I mean, if Houston takes Mobley, then maybe OKC says, well, I don't possibly care to draft and move up to take Suggs or Jalen Green. And they just stay put and say, well, among the guards, we like Suggs, Bouknight, and Green probably in the we have them in the same tier, and there's no point in moving up. And this is entirely possible. So we'll see.
Yeah, Bouknight right now is talking, and shouts to Ryland Styles, who's tweeting out all the quotes. He says, I've been talking to OKC a lot. I got to get dinner with Sam and the other guys in the front office. He's had a workout. He calls OKC great people, and he could see himself fitting in with them. So yeah, I think there's something there. I don't think that all these people would be saying these things and it not be real. I'll just say that. And if they stay at 6, I would expect it to be Bouknight, but don't be surprised if they go somewhere else. But it does feel like that's the collision course we're heading toward, though.
In a draft where you take Bouknight and then you maybe take someone like Ide at maybe you're then a little bit guard heavy, but a draft like that to me is a good draft, even if you had bad luck. And so, I mean, Bouknight is not 6'8", 6'7", he's 6'5", probably with a good wingspan. And so even if he's not tall for a guard, he's not small. Like he can play alongside Shea, and that would be a very good backcourt. And then you can put in Dort as your whatever bulldog that you need in any of the remaining positions.
Yep, true. Jeremy Woo does say that sources say the Thunder have made overtures about trading into the upper reaches of the draft, but so far have yet to gain serious traction. Rival teams remain wary of the possibility that they could leap into the top 3. Although Oklahoma City is among the more tight-lipped front offices in the league, rival teams generally agree that Bouknight and Jonathan Kuminga are the two players to most likely in the mix here if they stand pat.
Yeah.
So that feels, that's not new information.
No.
The fact that
it
they would make
confirms whatever
overtures
we
about
just
trading
discussed.
into the upper, it's like the Thunder made calls on the top picks. Duh. The Thunder make calls on the top picks every single year. This is nothing new. This is nothing new at all. But Jeremy Woo has the Thunder taking Bouknight at 6. At 16, he's got Keon Johnson from Tennessee, our favorite prospect. But again, at 16, it wouldn't be my selection. Certainly not.
Mm-hmm.
But at 16, the risk is mitigated. And if you think that you can turn him into a player, go for it. It's totally fine then. And then Jalen Johnson at 18, which is, I have more concerns about Jalen than I do about Keon. He doesn't feel like a Thunder guy. There's a lot of concerns about Jalen Johnson. I wouldn't take him. I just wouldn't do it. But you cannot deny that these are upside swings and something that Thunder fans can talk themselves into, as like, you take Keon and Jalen and maybe one of them works out, then you're in the money. Like and that's how this works. These would not be the guys I would take. I think everybody knows that. I think everybody knows how I feel about both of these players. But they do play positions of need in the NBA. And I think that it's okay to take them there.
Wings.
I wouldn't be upset.
Forwards.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Chad Ford, in his latest mock draft, has the Thunder taking Jonathan Kuminga at 6. He has Josh Giddey falling all the way to 16, which the kind of dancing I would do would be just horrifically embarrassing to everyone that's going to be at this draft party if they got Josh Giddey at 16. Isaiah Jackson, the stretch 4 at 18.
Oh,
which is it was a weird thing to say in his interview on Friday.
Yeah, and that's.
Let me finish this out real quick. Brandon Boston at 32, Vrenz Blyenberg at 34. 32 and 34 is not right. They have 34 and 36.
Yes.
Should be, but whoever it is, Brandon and Vrenz. So that's an interesting draft. If they came in with Kuminga, Giddey, Isaiah Jackson, Vrenz, and Brandon Boston, like that is a really interesting outcome. I don't think they're going to take this many players. I don't think they're going to carry 6 players on rookie scale deals. I think that's unlikely, but it's not impossible. And if they did, this would be a really interesting outcome. I'd actually be quite excited about the Kuminga, Giddey, Isaiah Jackson trio in the first round. I think that's a very, very interesting outcome.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's interesting also to have Boston. I know that he had a horrible season at Kentucky, but that is a guy that was a 5-star recruit. And I mean, you know that Presti will look into that, right? I mean, he's there. He's smoked like around there. And I think that there is a legit chance to, especially if they go shot creation in Bouknight and stuff like that.
Just play him with the blue. Just play him with the blue all season.
Yeah.
And let him get reps.
Yeah, he's still tall, long. He doesn't shoot it, but I mean, he was a guy that had success in high school. So I always wonder about these guys, and especially Presti, like valuing like even past experience quite a lot. So he's interesting. I think that if you have Kuminga and Giddey and not like just consolidate 16 and 18 and get Giddey instead of getting Giddey and Jackson, I think that is a good draft as well. I would go. I mean, I have high grades on Giddey. I think that to me is a top 10 pick this year, quite clearly. And if they are able to get him, even consolidating 2 picks, that is something that I would actually do. Because I mean, I just love the passing and the fact that he improved during the season in terms of the shooting percentage and stuff like that. So, like, he's I would really try to get him. in this draft. And I think that
even
if they don't trade up in the top 5, Giddey is someone that you can get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you can go. They can, if they really want him, they can find a way to get him, and I really hope they do. Also, shouts to Brandon Rabar, and
that is the main reason why you want him.
And his 1-year-old's poop, like big shouts. I get it's the funny. It's such a funny instance because like I can totally relate to it because there have been moments where I've been on Zoom calls and I am doing all kinds of things. Like I put together a couch while I was on a Zoom call. I have done all kinds of things. My kids have been yelling in the background when I'm on a Zoom call. I don't know if I've asked about poop before. Probably have. So it's like a very relatable 2021 moment. And I loved it. And I just love that we can always relate back to the poop from there. One thing to look at. This was written by Sam Vecini and it was put out on The Athletic today. I'm not going to give you all of it because I want you to go read it. It's very, very good. So what it is, it's the ranking the best offensive skills in the draft by Sam Vecini. So one, if you're anything of a Jalen Suggs or Jalen Green believer, like this is an article for you, but it's also one that will get you very excited for James Bouknight because Bouknight is labeled as like one of the better interior scorers, one of the better ball handlers in this draft, one of the better scorers in this draft. It is well worth your time to go read this because it could change the way you think about some of these players, and just like not mentioning some of them, like you should go read it. That's a very, very good piece.
I have only one. I read it like very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think I remember that Jalen Suggs is not in the pull-up threat part.
He's not in the top 5. Yeah.
I don't think he is. And that to me is something that, to me, Jalen Suggs will be able to translate quite easily, especially from the mid-range. The 3 ball, I agree. If you include that as in your pull-up evaluation, then yes, he's not good at that. But to me, Suggs is one of the best mid-range pull-up shooter in this class. He can really, really get separation and punish people. And so this is something that to me is really valuable for Suggs, and that's probably why I have him very high. Not at Cade level, but in the second tier.
Yeah. James Bouknight. This is from Nick Crane at Crane NBA's Twitter feed. It says, "Me and Shea in the backcourt. I think we would be a deadly young backcourt."
Yes. Especially if he learns how to play off ball, which is something that we mention. And if you want to get the whole pod, just get subscribed to OKC Dream Team. But I think that we said if he learns how to play off the ball, that is because he can move. He can clearly move. He has good feet. He has good understanding of the game, and he had basically nobody that could pass him the ball like Shea will. And if that is his idea, like being able to really share the court with Shea and being the off-ball, on-ball threat, they can both be dangerous with the ball and without, then Bouknight becomes extremely interesting. And I think we mentioned exactly that. Like, if he is willing to say, well, I'll try to play off the ball and just get on ball when Shea sits, then then he is very interesting. And maybe we are just talking ourselves into Bouknight because it seems inevitable that OKC will pick him. But he has the upside for sure.
Yeah, the passing stuff is legit scary to me.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean he will never pass it. It's not like he doesn't have like any passing in his game at all. It's just it was very limited, and it could have been very circumstantial. It didn't feel that way when I watched him. It didn't feel circumstantial to me. It felt like a lack of skill to me and a lack of vision. But OKC there's a thought process behind it. This is the thing about the Thunder is that they are so thoughtful at what they do, and I just have to trust the organization to make the right calls with what they're doing, especially at the top of the draft. Kevin O'Connor's, let's see, his mock draft has OKC taking Jonathan Kuminga at 6, at 16, Cam Thomas out of LSU, and Alperen Şengün at 18. It just feels so unlikely that Şengün lasts to 16 in this draft. Now, like Moody at 15, Duarte at 14, Giddey at 13, Garuba at 12. Garuba feels like it feels too high for Garuba to me.
He's on
I
the
like
rise,
him a
though.
lot. I like him a lot. I would love for him to fall to the Thunder. Kai Jones at 11, that feels really high to me. Kispert to the Pelicans feels like a foregone conclusion. Franz Wagner to the Kings feels like that too. Davion at 8 to the Magic also feels high to me.
Yeah. Where is Butler?
Jared Butler?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my guy. Our guy. 25 to the Clippers.
That is, to me, there aren't 17 spots between the two. That is not a good read to me. Like if Davion is 8.
Between what? Oh, between Dave. Oh, I think he's the better Baylor guard, and I may be on an island there to a degree. I know other people think that. I've had other people say that to me. I would so much rather have him though. Like he's like, I absolutely know. I absolutely know it.
I rewatched the way in which Davion Mitchell shut down Cade, and to me that is something that should be taken into consideration. I know that he's older and he is more mature, but it still really shut down a guy that not totally shut down, but he was very good against the 6'8" guy being 6'1", and that to me makes the entire difference. That said, if you say, well, Mitchell goes 11 and Butler goes 17, that to me is reasonable, completely reasonable. To have one going like 8 or 7 and the other going 25, that to me doesn't make any sense. Like really no sense.
It's the health issues though.
Yeah, but he's cleared.
I know he's cleared. You still have to be a little concerned about it. Yes.
Yeah.
Am I, I
not
get
17 spots.
Yeah. He shut Cade Cunningham down. Cade Cunningham still had 24, 7 and 4, 25, 8 and 5 both times. So,
but he played very well against him.
He played him well. He did play him well. He stripped him a couple times. Those do stick out to me, definitely. I love Jared Butler's floater. I love his ability to be catch and shoot. I love his ability to pass, the pick and roll. To me, he just has so many translatable skills to the NBA, and not that his counterpart does not. Jared Butler has turned into one of my favorite guys in the draft.
Yeah,
and I think he's criminally underrated. Underrated.
Yeah, and for some team, it may be better to draft a guy like that. OKC is probably one of them. I see more upside in getting someone like that compared to Mitchell, because you probably have in your roster here and there the same thing that Mitchell does. You don't have what Butler does. You have some, but again, to me, he makes sense for OKC way more than Mitchell does, especially where they pick. Like, so it's a good combo. I'm interested to see where they land on draft night.
If Jared Butler falls to 25, I just think that's dumb. I think it's straight up dumb. There are so many players above him: Isaiah Jackson, Jalen Johnson, Josh Primo. I like Primo. I wouldn't have him graded above him. Trey Murphy, I wouldn't have him graded above. Keon Johnson, nope. Sharif Cooper, heck no. Heck no.
Murphy, I don't know.
Yeah, I like Murphy. I feel more sure about Jared Butler. I just feel more sure about him.
I don't know. It would be extremely tricky to me to pick one between the two.
Yeah. James Anderson says, and Butler is 9 months older than Suggs.
Yeah.
So he's a junior, but he's young.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to see him wearing a Thunder jersey. Oh man. Okay, so let's go to ESPN's mock. We've had Woj and Lowe. We've had that show. They've done a podcast that I haven't listened to yet, and they've released a new mock draft, which they only release like 2 or 3 mock drafts, which is just strange to me. I would love to know what's behind all of that. Like why you wouldn't want to direct more people to your website, but whatever. At 6, they have James Bouknight, and to me. And some of this maybe just gathering intel and wanting to release it all at once. Like Jonathan Givony is one of the best at mock drafts. He's the one that I would just pay very close attention to it. I think Sam Vecini too. Like Sam Vecini, I've gotten to know him really well over the past several weeks, and the dude is just on the phone all the time, trying to figure out what's going on with all these players. So Scotty Barnes
is very connected. Like
he's
is
very connected. Yeah.
Yeah. When he was at Draft Express, so not with the ESPN powers, he was still probably the best at putting the right order. He is not necessarily the best talent evaluator. I think that Mike Schmitz is at least as good, if not better. But the two, the couple is perfect because he has all the intels. He knows a lot. He knows agents. He knows everyone, and he's very good.
Mike Schmitz, friend of the pod. I had him on whenever he was just cutting those videos for Draft Express, like I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago.
I played beer pong with Mike Schmitz.
You did?
Yes.
He's the man. I'm a big fan of him. I think he does such a good job. I'm really excited. I'm so excited for him that he gets the opportunity to do this because he's so good at it.
Yeah.
Like is like a true like basketball lifer, and he really deserves it. So they have OKC selecting James Bouknight at 6. Big shocker there. I don't know how you feel about this. I don't really get Orlando wanting Scotty Barnes so badly. Like you want to add Scotty to the number of wings that can't shoot it to your I just don't. The roster construction and like they have no real creators. It's like is Markelle Fultz your creator?
Whoa! So much shades on Cole Anthony.
Exactly. You're counting on a bench guard to buoy your team with his scoring. Wow. Like, give me a break, man. Wow. I like Scotty Barnes. I honestly would be glad if they would take him because I just don't know if that's the guy I want to root for ultimately at the NBA level.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that I would almost prefer Bouknight at this point to him and almost prefer just the selection of Kuminga to him. But it does feel like Orlando is locked in on Scotty Barnes there at 5, which like, okay.
If he's there.
Do your thing.
If he's there.
If he's there, true. And then Moses Moody at 8, which still doesn't really address any of the problems that they have. Like they just have a ton of wings. And I don't know. It's not my problem though.
I mean, it's almost better if they try to trade down and if say Suggs is there. Well, if Suggs is there, you have to take him. But like an Orlando team that drafts Giddey and Moody is probably in the same ballpark as the one that draft Barnes and I don't know, another non-shot creator. I mean, they really need someone who can, and you can argue that it's not a problem if they are awful next season.
Yeah.
So drafting Barnes and Moody will probably put them into the 18 wins territory, which is perfect. So it's also drafting a very good character that can probably elevate the locker room because Cody Barnes will be that, will make winning plays, will play defense, and maybe this is the way to start a certain culture there. And yes, they will not be any good, but they are playing the long run. One thing that I want to ask you is, which is completely irrelevant to what we are discussing now, and then probably you have to say who's in the ESPN draft at 16 and 18. But just to gather your feeling about this, do you think that Washington will pull the trigger on both Ross and Beal? To say, well, if we trade them both, we have nothing, like completely nothing, and we can trade Bertans to the Mavericks or whatever, and just have really nothing. For some combination of all the Lakers trying to pull off a sign and trade, and Golden State putting Weissman 7, 14, and 2 extra first, something like that.
Yep.
What's your feeling?
I think it's all about what Brad. I think it's all what Brad wants. I don't have a good feel for it. I would say it would make sense for all parties involved to get this deal done. Is my assessment on it. I think there is a real chance that Brad just says, "Please go try to find another player, like trade. Go take 15 Rui." Anything else that's on the roster.
And get me Kevin Love. Sorry.
And go get like a good player for me. I think that is probably, and it's similar, like he and Lillard are in the same boat where it's make the team better, because I think that they both want to find a way to stay. I think that loyalty is a real thing for both of them. And I think they would both really like to stay. And if they can figure out a way to stay, I think they will. However, I do think the Warriors stuff is extremely real. Like, it is substantial. I don't think that the article that Marcus Thompson wrote is a coincidence at all. I think that it's sourced. I think that it's real. I think that there is a more than 30% chance that it happens. So I would buckle up, because I think that there is a real chance that stuff starts moving pretty quickly. If Beal says, "Okay, I've had enough," then I think that I think you can go ahead and put a Warriors jersey on him.
Which is great for the Thunder, because there is another team that will likely beat them 4 times in the regular season. Not a very good news, because there is another contender for that last spot in the 2022 draft. But
true,
you cannot have everything. So 16 and 18, ESPN.
Before we go to that, we're going to take a quick break.
Wow.
All right, 16 and 18 on ESPN's mock draft. Our guy, Keon Johnson, out of Tennessee. Shooting guard, crazy athlete, a wild man, definitely a guy who I would have like mocked him at 6 to OKC if it were 2011 or something like that.
Yeah.
At 16 again, it doesn't kill me at 16. It's fine. No. It is totally fine, especially if there's no Şengün, if there's no Giddey. Like those two, if either of those two are available and they take Keon Johnson, then yes, I'm throwing a fit. Like I'm throwing a huge fit.
This is exactly what will happen.
They'll both be available at 16 and 18, and they'll still take Keon and Jalen Johnson.
You can say, if you really like Keon, there is a legit chance that Memphis is going to draft him. It makes sense for them, whereas Giddey makes less of a sense for them. Maybe.
Yeah.
They have already slow-mo.
They do.
Yeah. And Ja. So, and then 18 was there.
I would be excited for this one. Usman Garuba at 18.
Yeah. I mean, the Thunder have an opportunity to play Garuba as their center and be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like you play Pakushevsky, Baisley, Garuba, Shea, and Dort. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. That team will not score, but they will defend quite well. And whenever Baisley and Pokusevski find ways to hit threes, and maybe Garuba will as well, that will be, I mean, just to watch Dort and Garuba play pick and roll defense, that would be insane. I mean, and Garuba is young. I mean, today he has no ways except for playing in the dunker spot and hoping that the tree goes in to score at the NBA level. He has no other ways. But the defense is ready. I mean, he will play tomorrow and be Thibault-like, Dort-like on defense.
Yeah.
And if that happens, if OKC can get him, and I think that there is a legit chance that he's there at 16, I wouldn't be against it.
I wouldn't either. The value's there. There's extreme value there. I think he's 11th on Sam Vecini's board.
Yeah, I know. He has him. To me, he has him too high. He probably believes in the shot more than I do, which means that he's probably right, and I'm surely wrong. But I worried about the fact that he's monodimensional offensively. He has two ways to attack the basket, and that to me is tricky, especially because he's not like Serge Ibaka in terms of athleticism. He is a good athlete, but he's not a guy that will fly for a dunk on a pick and roll.
Okay, last thing before we go, because I know you got to get out of here. Let's talk about this Hawks rumor a little bit.
Oh, wow.
So let me pull up the tweet. Who sent it out? Was it Gavoni?
I absolutely don't remember.
I believe it was Gavoni.
The search for a first-round pick for Cam Reddish.
Yeah. What do you think about Cam Reddish?
As you know, I was very high on him already last season about trading for him, even a first-round pick. And to me, that is still relevant. Maybe you don't really trade a first-round pick. I proposed something on Twitter like you do 20 and Reddish for 16 and 16, 34, and 55. Something like that, where you don't give a real first, you just trade back a couple of spots. And you add 2 second rounders. Maybe they will ask for the 2 good second rounders, which is still okay for me.
That's fine.
Yeah, but it's not completely fine. I would prefer.
Would you rather? Okay, so the question then is: would you rather take like Brandon Boston and whoever else is there in the second round, or would you rather have Cam Reddish?
It depends who's there at 16, because that is important. Like, would you be okay
if Şengün and Giddey are gone? If Şengün and Giddey are gone,
like even Garuba, if Garuba is there, would you do that? Because that is what you lose. You lose the ability to pick someone at 16, and you give up two good second round guys, which is okay. I mean, I'm just saying that I would not start with that as my initial offer. My initial offer would be trading back and plus 1 additional pick, then maybe 55. And if nothing works, try to see that if we can exchange also second round picks, something like that. But yeah, I mean, the idea of Reddish on this team to me is perfect. I mean, he's still young. He's younger than kind of a lot of, he's 2-3 years younger than Duarte. Is he 21?
Yeah, he's 21.
Yeah, so he's
3 years younger than Duarte. Yeah.
Yeah, he's same age as is 1 year younger than Lou Dort, or same age as Lou Dort?
I think he's about the same age as Dort.
Yeah, so there are many guys that are born in 2000 or 1999 in this draft. So you're drafting a guy that is you're basically using a second draft on this guy.
I mean, Davion, Kispert, Duarte, Trey Murphy is about the same age as him. DeSumo is the same age as him. Quentin Grimes is the same age as him. Joel Ayayi is the same age as him.
And again, put Reddish in the NCAA. His year was bad in college because he was like not assertive. But he made improvement on that. And he is a legit shooter. I really believe in his shot. I always did. And to me, he makes total sense in a role where he's not asked to be the man, but he will be involved, like way more than what he is in Atlanta right now. So to me, because in Atlanta, he will be a guy that will have spot minutes, like 5, 10, 15. In OKC, 35, right from the bat. Like, play, shoot, whatever. Good.
He's 6'8". It's a position of need. Yeah. And they'll figure out really what he is. They'll.
Yeah. I will be actually pretty excited to get Reddish, because I think that even if he's not a guy that I expect to be an all-star or nothing like that, he may end up being a very good role player that scores 14 per game on good efficiency. And he's not bad defensively. He was quite bad when he started in Atlanta, but he made improvements. And so I really think that, to me, if the alternatives are, would you draft Keon Johnson, Jalen Johnson, or try to get Reddish? To me, the answer is try to get Reddish. And maybe I'm wrong. Again, maybe Keon will be exactly like Reddish in 2 years. I don't know. I just love fluid athletes that can shoot the three, and
he's big. That's the difference between he and Keon. Is like he's actually 6'8". Big. He can play 3-4, and that's.
But even if it's just a 3, who cares? I mean, he's already a position of need. Like even if he can just play the wing spot.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think it makes sense. It's a nice flyer to take. I guess Atlanta just doesn't want to pay him. I guess that's it. I don't know. It is a little concerning that like a young team though would be like, you pay him. It's a little concerning. Somebody they picked 10th, a part of the Luka trade, right?
Yeah. No, and I said that he's a shooter, but the shooting is not really there as of now. So maybe I'm too optimistic about Reddish. Who knows?
Woj just tweeted, Detroit's internal meetings are still revolving around 3 players for the number 1 pick on Thursday night. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley. Sources tell ESPN. Detroit isn't fully there yet on committing to Cunningham with their first overall choice, which means that there's still a chance, because if you don't take Cade at 1, what it means is you're trading back. And they're not going to trade back all the way to 6. So everybody chill out with that. They're going to trade back to 2 or to 3. Like, that's what will happen if they decide that they don't want to take, if they want anybody else but Cade.
Then OKC should move and try to secure a trade with Cleveland right now.
They definitely should. I contributed to an article that's supposed to be released on The Athletic. Let's see if it's out yet. About just that topic, about trading to the 3rd pick and what it would take. And Kelsey Russo and I had a lengthy Slack conversation about what it would take. That was pretty interesting, because I do think that the Thunder have a shot to make it happen. I really do believe that they can get there. I don't think it's out yet, but be on the lookout for that. I'll have that on my Twitter timeline so you can see the trade that I think she agreed to it. I don't know what her written portion is going to look like, but I think she agreed to that she thinks that the Cavs would do the trade that I sent for the 3rd pick. So be on the lookout for that one. All right, Michele, I got to get you moved on with the rest of your life here. Prediction real quick before we go. What's your prediction for Thursday?
I would say Bouknight, consolidation trade for Giddey, and then probably Brents in the 2nd round.
Oh, nice. Okay. I love it.
I'm not sure if it's a prediction or I will say this, or a dream scenario.
No.
Yes, this is my dream scenario. Who knows if something else will happen.
Oh, man. So we have Hoopsock69, Thomas Bartel, David is here, Spencer Smith is here, Lawrence Field, Jason Hendricks, Evan Christian. Sorry, I can't even read where you're from because there's so many people in the chat today. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in today. Jake Iao, Brian, Andy Robinson, Jimmy Woodpecker, Dan Mayan, Fitness 2018, Italio Barito, Dylan Walker. Let's see. Small Cap Crypto G is here. Ben _ Keith Land is here. Let's see. I get by with a little help from my friends is in the chat. Momar, Buster Nakamoto is here. Barrett Brown, what's up, Barrett? Bryce Little is here. Joseph Leland is here. Luke Boysinger is here. Got 1 minute left on my song before this is over. Chad Scott is here. M. Webb, White Black, Dylan Harris. Everyone needs a smile. Evan Riggs. Y. Sermon is here. Daniel Tomasi. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Daniel Tomasi. Hope you're having a great day. What's on? Hope you're having a great day, dude. Matty Moles is here. James Anderson is here. Augusto Sarmento is here. My guy Alex Bowlerjack is here. What's up, Alex? Let's see. Anybody else that I have missed? Greg Ray is here. Ryan B is here. Nice Key is here. Stage Jamaica is here. He's here. Thank you. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great Monday, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.